Good morning, friends. I got up early specifically to be able to give you guys a good garden tour before it gets hot out here. It has still been getting super hot, like pretty much every day. It'll be in the 90s, and then the feels like temperature will definitely be over 100 most days. And we're still not getting just a ton of rain. So it did rain, I think, 2 days ago. So the garden looks pretty healthy overall, and it's not in the middle of the day, so the leaves aren't all drooping yet. So I think the garden's gonna look a lot prettier for you guys this week. The morning sun is really cute too. Today at the end of the tour, we're also going to be harvesting some potatoes. I need them for dinner tonight, and also it's about time to get that raised bed cleared out. The plants have been dead, died back for a while, and I need to get to them before other things start getting to them. Alright, let's start by talking about this trellis here at the front. This is my scarlet runner bean trellis, and it has not been putting on more beans. Look at that bee. I know my flowers are getting pollinated, but I think it has just been too hot and too dry for this plant to be putting on proper beans. We do still have this one bean from the very beginning. Oh, sorry, there's two beans. But for the most part, no beans on here, and that's disappointing, but maybe as it cools off next month or so, we'll get some beans. Maybe we'll have to wait till next year because this is a perennial plant. But either way, I'm not stressing out about it. Moving on to look at the tomato trellis row. We've got just tons and tons of tomatoes on here. If you are in the Discord, you might have seen me post the picture of that giant tomato. Last week I showed it to you guys. It was fully green, and a couple days ago I got to harvest it. So if you're in the Discord, you would have seen that photo. I think I also posted it on Instagram, but it was the biggest tomato I've ever seen. I needed fully my whole hand to support it. It was definitely a fused tomato, when all the flowers kind of fuse together from multiple tomatoes. And I think the variety was Bizignano. It's one of the newer varieties that I'm trying this year, and so far so good. It was a fused tomato, which has a really high likelihood of having a lot of holes in it, and I haven't really cut it open, but from the outside it looks pretty solid, so fingers crossed that it's really edible. Here in front of me, this middle section of tomatoes is getting away from me. This section I haven't been pruning or trellising up because this was a determinate tomato that oh my goodness, there is a hummingbird around here. You guys probably saw it just barely. It's right up there. It sounds like the loudest bee. It's a little startling at first until you know what it is. Anyway, that's so pretty. Anyways, these are determinate tomatoes, and because of that I haven't been pruning them back because they don't grow indeterminately the way the indeterminate ones do. So they are out here flopping on the ground, and I have been losing a lot of tomatoes because of that. I think it's been a really good illustration of why pruning tomatoes works and keeping them up off the ground. Anything that has been close to or touching the ground has ended up with at least some level of damage. There are some damaged tomatoes that I can do something with, but a lot of them I just can't. I have to compost them. And I do think even with the damaged ones, I think that not pruning them and allowing them to flop has still been better than actually pruning those branches off entirely. So it's kind of a win-lose situation. I am getting more fruit, but it feels worse because so many of them are damaged. Alright, let's take a quick walk down this second row here on the other side of the trellis. On my left, I've got eggplants and zinnias and sweet peppers that are finally making fruits. You can see in here. Here's some. These are the ones that were stunted and so far they seem to be recovering pretty well. And then to my right here, I've got all my specialty basil alongside my tomatoes. That is going to be like my Thai basil, my lemon basil, my holy basil or tulsi. All of that is on this side. I just looked in front of me to continue walking forward, and I saw this view with all the flowers, and it's pretty jungly, and if you look close you can see like the red tomatoes in the background. It's so pretty. I can also get up closer to the beans from this side. These are my blue cocoa beans, and those of you who've been with me for a while have seen in the past how productive they are. But this year with the heat and the drought, they just haven't been producing. You can see how sad and dried out these look. And so I've gotten like maybe a few of these, but really not that much at all. I'm hoping that since the vines still look pretty healthy, once rain returns and it kind of cools off, that these will start producing again. They're called blue cocoa, but everything about them, from the flowers to the beans to the stems, it's all purple, and it's all very beautiful. Those ripe tomatoes are seeing through the foliage. These are the Heinz tomatoes. They are kind of the most tomato looking tomatoes that I have, and because they're a hybrid, they do have some benefits. They are ripening super evenly. Like, you could just see that it doesn't have any of those green tops that you might be used to with heirloom tomatoes. They seem to be far less susceptible to any kind of damage. But the downside to a hybrid like this is that the seeds aren't going to be true to type if you save them. So unfortunately, you have to buy seeds for a plant like this every year. On the other side of where those tomatoes are, this is the hot pepper section right here. It's got some zinnias interplanted, and we are actually starting to see baby peppers on almost all of these. A couple of these plants are a little farther along. I know last week I showed you guys some almost full-sized buena mulata peppers. This one is starting to get up to size. This one looks like a chile de arbol. We've got plenty of different kinds in here. These ones right here are Tabascos. Hopefully this year I'll get enough of them to actually make my sauce. Those of you who were with me last year remember that I did not get a big enough harvest to make a batch of Tabasco sauce, which was sad, but it is fortunate that the previous year I had such a big batch that I still have some left over that I haven't even gone through. So all of it works out. And as we go through, oh, here's some big ones here. And the fish pepper is getting even wider. Yes, fish, like the animal fish pepper. I don't know why it's called that, but that is what the seeds that were given to me were labeled. And the peppers, once you can see them get bigger, you can see better, but they're all stripy, like candy canes. It's very pretty. And you can see this section at the end is still full of potatoes and my dead Brussels sprout, and not cleared out for corn. So I am behind on that. Maybe I will get to that today. We'll have to see. These potatoes are probably just about ready to get pulled out anyway. So if I'm going to be harvesting potatoes, maybe now's a good time to do it. Alright, we're back at the front of row 3 where my trellis is, and the noodle beans are suffering a bit in the heat as well, but are still doing pretty well. Like this one in particular looks super healthy, but this one next to it that maybe didn't get as much water as it was growing, you can see it looks a little bit more wrinkly, and I can tell that it's tougher and probably won't be as nice to eat. These plants are looking very productive though. I see plenty of flowers and plenty of baby beans coming on, so I'm not too worried about the noodle beans. They might be the only real bean that I have this year, and in that case I am glad that I have so many different kinds. And I guess I haven't experienced such hot and dry of a spell before. since I've been gardening here. And it's really good information to have to see what actually performs well in those conditions versus what's not producing. On this other trellis, I've got my cucumbers and my blue butterfly peas. They are actually finally starting to look healthy and climb up my trellis. I know it's super late for cucumbers to be this small, but I've got a really long growing season, so it should be fine. And I do eventually need to thin these out. I've been putting it off because they were growing slowly and I had so much trouble getting them to sprout in the first place. But now that I have a lot, I should think about paring it down to just the strongest. Interplanted with the cucumbers are my blue butterfly peas. They make these gorgeous blue flowers that are really great for tea. I pick them and dry them, and they turn the water super blue, and they're actually a natural pH indicator, because you can turn them like more of a purpley pink with acid. And back past the trellises, I have another section of sweet peppers. These are the store-bought ones that were my backups when my other ones were looking so sad. And some of them are looking good, but like this pepper, you see, it's ripening super unevenly. And I can only imagine that that is due to the dryness and the heat. Definitely this one right next to it is doing a similar thing, but it doesn't look as bad. Like, I don't know if you can tell how unhealthy this one looks. It's got more of like a yellowish tinge to it, and it's wrinkled in the wrong way. And this one has got like that kind of healthier shine to it. So I think it's probably going to taste better. But it is also a very large pepper on a somewhat small plant, and I think once I pull this off, the plant will get bigger and do a better job actually being able to support these giant peppers that it's growing. This one looks pretty good. This one's probably just about ready. It's getting that orange color to it. And back past all those sweet peppers is my corn, which I just noticed as I was walking up is just starting to tassel. It's looking kind of short to be doing that, but also I've never grown this particular variety, so I'm not sure how high it's supposed to get. It is, I don't know, what is that, like stomach height on me? And previously I've had corn get like here before it starts tasseling. So we'll watch, we'll see how it goes. Other than that, it looks very healthy, so it's probably normal. This is, I think, a Cherokee popcorn variety, so I am kind of expecting that it's an older cultivar of popcorn, and might not be bred to be as absolutely giant as some of the corns that we're used to seeing. But yeah, come along and find out. Here in the fourth row, this is mostly weeds at this point. I've got still the dead poppies with their seeds, my little blueberry bush at the back that's struggling, and I just started noticing some holy basil volunteers. That's this one right here. I might as well let it grow because I don't have much else to put here. I do think letting all these weeds grow is going to do a good job protecting the soil in the meantime before I decide what I'm doing with it, or if I don't have time to do anything good with this section of the garden. If you've been watching the garden evolve, you've seen me struggle more and more to plant in this final row just because it is so close to this tree that gets bigger every year, throws more shade, and also roots right under here get a little bigger, making it harder to transplant into. And I just haven't settled on something that would be good to have here long term. Suggestions of edible perennials is appreciated. I think I might try and make this my perennial onion section, but in the meantime it is mostly weeds. Some of them are edible, but I do have just a couple intentional things here at the front. Even these cosmos I did not put in intentionally. I do have a couple of tomatoes and a turmeric up here. Actually, I count 3 turmerics up here. And these tomatoes are the ones that I planted when I thought the other ones weren't going to do well. And they are, where is the tip of this? There it is. They are just starting to flower. So we'll have some tomatoes over here soon. It's resting on a ginger. And lastly, in this area, I do have this mallow plant. It is starting to get established, and I can tell because it is actually putting on good, fresh, new growth. And I'm excited to see it get bigger and be here next year. Alright, we're gonna move on to the raised bed section of the garden. And on this pergola right here, I have 2 grapes. But I noticed the other day, I thought the 3rd one was fully dead, and it turns out it wasn't. It is just taking a long time. It finally put up some new growth, so that's very exciting. We do have all 3 of our grape plants here. I haven't seen anything from the hardy kiwis, but at least we've got grapes here. You can also see my attempt to mulch this area has been thwarted by the aggressiveness of the Bermuda grass. I had hoped to fill it in with something a little less aggressive, something that wouldn't get tall, wouldn't need to be mowed, but the Bermuda grass has other ideas. Like, it's definitely still kind of thinned out, but I think I'm going to be struggling with this for a couple of years. And I can show you over here the creeping thyme that I put in. It is doing its job and creeping, but it's just not fast enough to compete with the Bermuda grass just yet. Something really notable in this area is the deer have been visiting. You can see all the little sticks that are missing their leaves. They used to be like this, and that's kind of a good and a bad thing. Like, the deer are still coming, and I'm only seeing damage out here in the area that's not protected by my deer fence. So on the one hand, yay, my deer fence works, and on the other hand, so sad for the sweet potatoes. I think they'll probably recover. I think the deer will eat down what they can, and then they will move on to another food source while this recovers. This is where I'll be harvesting the potatoes from. As you can see, potato plants are crispy dead, and I've just got the Jerusalem artichoke and the evening primrose here right now, which I'm hoping will take over the bed once I have gotten all of these potatoes out. Well, my phone actually got so hot that it fully shut off in the middle of me doing that. If that's any indication of how just hot it is out here at 9:30 in the morning. It is rough these days. These are the potatoes that I got, though. I wanted to show you guys this. This Bermuda grass grew straight through my potato. That's how aggressive it is. I had a couple that were already starting to sprout again. So I think I was late getting these out of the ground. I definitely took my time about it. And I did have a few that are a little rotted. Look at that. Gross. And I actually pulled all of these from the same area, and it was really early on, and I was worried they're all going to be like that, but for the most part, they all look totally fine. And if you've never seen me with these purple potatoes before, the flesh is so pretty. And if you're going to make mashed potatoes or something with them, there's beautiful lavender color. And they actually change color based on temperature. I noticed because I put them in the fridge, and they'll be a dark purple in the fridge, and then you microwave them, and they go back to that beautiful light lavender color. So that's pretty neat. I think I'm gonna skip the berry patch today just because it is so hot out here, and I'm feeling very done being outside. I can tell you that not a lot has changed. It's still mostly struggling because of the heat and the dryness. We are a few inches behind on rain at this point, and I think hotter than normal. So between those two, everything's not looking as good as it could. But I mean, those plants will come back. They're still trying to make raspberries. They're still trying to make little baby blackberries. Eventually the rain will hit, and then I will have more berries from those. Alright, and quickly before I let you guys go, I want to remind you that the new sticker has just dropped over on my Patreon. It's so cute. If you want to learn more about that, you can check out the link down below to my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can join, and you can get access to things like all of these videos without any ads. Also some exclusive videos from time to time that I don't post anywhere else. And you could even join my Discord community, where we can actually like send photos back and forth and chat, and then once every quarter I get on voice chat and give you guys a chance to like physically talk to me with your voice if you want. So I think that's pretty cool. And to all the rest of you, just thank you so much for being such loyal viewers. I really appreciate you guys, and you're the reason that I make myself come out here in the heat of summer. It's good for me, it's good for the garden. So thank you guys, and I will see you next week. But until then, happy gardening.